Hey everybody! I would like to welcome you back for another video. This is Kayla with Kayla Means Photography and Tribe Red Leaf Presets. So let's go ahead and get started. So I opened up in Lightroom and today we're going to be focusing on the ELMT Air collection. So quick backstory, I went to Hawaii this past week for some engagement photos and I went to multiple locations, and one of the locations I went to was Waipio Valley, which is partially where Jurassic Park was filmed. So we got tons of shots in the lush green forest, and we also got tons of shots on the beach. So for this tutorial, we're just going to go over some of the locations where I went to when I was in the forest area. And specifically, we're going to be going over the ELMT Air collection. So I shot with my Nikon D810 with a Sigma 35mm 1.4 art, and as you can see on the upper right hand corner, sorry guys, I'm a little bit sick from yelling over the crashing waves, so apologize my voice, but as you can see in the upper right hand corner are my settings. I have an ISO of 200, my aperture was 1.8, and I was shooting with a shutter speed of 1/800th of a second. So this is all natural light. I can show you guys before and after that this is the before of being shot. So let's go ahead and get started. So specifically, I went through all of the presets to find the one that I wanted, and I found that in the Air collection, it does an absolutely beautiful job at toning the greens. And I wanted the clients to show, to show the clients how beautiful and green it was over there. And so I wanted to incorporate with that. Now, by using other presets, I usually desaturate the greens, but in this case, I really wanted to bring the greens forward because this is their home, this is where they loved, and they want to remember Hawaii being super lush and super green. So I found out of all the elements that I particularly like the Air one the most. So we'll go ahead and go through just a couple of the elements of the Air collection and show you guys how different each one truly is. So we'll start with the one. I love how dark and moody that one is for sure. And then as you can tell, that one's dark. This one's a little bit brighter. This definitely has a lot more green tint to it. And as you can, if you guys watch how on the sides, you can watch how it changes as well. That one has a little more brown, super pretty. I love that one. Darker tones. This one has a little more of the dark, and as you can tell, the skin tones are a little bit darker as well. This one has a more of a desaturated type of look. And then we've got our classic black and white. So out of all of them, I think one of my favorite ones are two. And I think I love the A06. But I think for today I'm going to go with the A2. So we'll go ahead and reset this one. So usually what I do, I will color correct the image, but I think for this one I'm just going to throw on the preset and then I'm going to correct it from there. So I'm just going to click on the A02, and as you can tell, that's already done such a huge difference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tone it down with the exposure, so just a little bit, guys, not too much. I'm also going to come up to the white balance and I'm going to warm it up just a little bit, and then I'm going to kind of bring up the tint just a little bit because they are a little green. She's wearing white, so that's a thing you have to worry about. Say if you're photographing a bride and she has a beautiful white dress, especially if there's snow, you need to make sure that you color correct the dress. Then I can show you guys how we do that as well. So I'm liking that. It's looking a little bit better. Perfect. Usually sometimes what I'll do is I'll bump up the clarity. Not too much, but I want them to be more in focus. Not that they are not in focus, but I want the details to come up just a little bit more. And then you can just kind of decrease or increase the highlights. Her dress is pretty bright, so I wouldn't want to go any any lighter than that, so I'll kind of decrease those. Shadows, I'm all about having shadows. My work is dark and moody, so I like having a little bit more of shadows. So we'll kind of probably leave it right there. It works. I'm not going to fiddle with the vibrance or saturation. Sometimes that can get a little heavy-handed, so you got to be really careful with that. So I'm not going to mess with any of that. And then I'm going to come down to the HSL, the Hue, Saturation, and Luminance panel. And I'm just going to kind of mess with the green tones just a little bit. Kind of decrease that. And then if you are noticing that a bride's dress is turning a blue tint, you can come over to the saturation or the luminance, and you can kind of decrease or increase to get rid of that blue tone. So as you can see that she's reflecting the blue onto her dress right over here. So what you can just do is just kind of decrease it like that. And then keep in mind, if they do have blue tinted in here, keep in mind that you're not altering the tint that is on the other person's. So then I'm going to do, that looks about how I want it. So we can turn that on, turn that off. See, that makes a huge difference, just like that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of split toning, and what that does is it just adds color into the shadows and into the highlights. So I'm going to go to where it says shadows, and I'm going to pick, let's do red for the shadows. Then I'm going to come down and I'm going to decrease it until we're about, we'll do about 3. And then I'm going to come over to the highlights. I'm going to pick a cyan, because remember, red and cyan go together, green and magenta go together, and blue and yellow go together. We're going to decrease that, about 3. And that just shows you a little bit of color toning. And you can always turn it off if you don't like it. I think I'm actually going to leave it off because I like having a little more, or you know what, let's change this. Let's go to blue for the shadows. This is why I love editing, because it is all about personal taste. And this is where your style really comes out. And we're going to do yellow in the highlights. It's a subtle difference. You can always bump up each of the colors too. On my screen, I notice a difference, but maybe when you guys are rewatching the video, you won't be able to tell, but on my screen, I can notice a subtle difference, okay? So then we're gonna go down. I'm not gonna mess with the sharpening. I'm not gonna mess with the luminance. We don't have any distortion or anything like that, so I'm just gonna leave it how that is. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of a vignette to really have them focus. It almost looks like there's a light on them, which I really, really like. I'm going to bump up the warmth just a little. Perfect. Okay. So that is before and after. And then if you are liking the effect that you have on this photo, remember, you can bring it onto another photo. So let's say I want to do this one when they're in the trees, and I want to do this one when they're together. So you're just going to go over to where it says sync. You're going to hit synchronize. And then we're going to look at the photos before and after. Just like that. So what I did on this first picture will translate on this photo. Perfect. Okay, well, if you guys have any questions, please let us know. And I hope you enjoyed this collection just as much as I do. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.